The online forum had started to gain some traction with users who had fought against Quinn. They started to post comments just below about the video. "Yeah, I fought against him too, and he used those red lines on me. I lost in an instant. Is there really an ability like that in the game? It looks like Wind Slash, but why are the lines red?" Of course, even though the post had gained some traction, there weren't many. After all, things like this were posted on a daily occurrence, and usually it was from some people who couldn't accept a loss, thinking the other person must be hacking. But those who did watch the video started to ping the creators asking if what was seen in the video was real. Of course, one of the admin staff for the game came along and checked the video, but this person wasn't any ordinary admin staff. It was a student at the school named Logan Green. Logan himself wasn't ordinary, for he was the son of the creator of the game, and not only that, but was one of the head coders as well. He often visited the forum to check for bugs, and if there were any, he would try to fix them while still attending school. Then suddenly, late at night, that day, he noticed that post had started to gain traction. Usually he wouldn't have bothered with these things, but the staff were getting tagged in the post more than usual. After watching the video, suddenly his attention had been caught. Logan immediately could tell that the video was real. He searched up the 2 user IDs that were in the game and then decided to look at the match information. After searching them up, he noticed that the player that was being questioned in the video had selected no ability. No, it couldn't be. Did he really manage to hack the system? Logan then began to dig in deep into the match and checked everything about it. He checked the log of the game and everything that had been written down as the match went on, but there wasn't a single thing he could find that was wrong. Logan actually felt relieved. The game so far had been successful, not only because of how it was able to accurately replicate abilities, but also because the game had yet to be hacked. After finding out this information, Logan had no choice but to think it had something to do with his ability. Although Original's abilities weren't able to be copied into the game, this was the only answer he could think of. But one question remained, and that was just who was the user behind ID Bloody Volver. It was company policy to not keep records of any of the users in the game. The data was scrambled so not even he could get access to it. But that wouldn't stop Logan. The next day, combat classes had resumed back to normal. Layla the other day had gone to register the team with Dell, and even he was surprised at who was written on the list. The group became the talk of the class. After all, they were the only ones with such a huge difference in power levels between the team, something that hadn't happened in the school before. In the combat class, the group were told to continue training independently, and if they wished to spar with a partner, they could politely ask. Leo would go around giving tips to the students when he could. In the afternoon, after classes were done, Quinn would head to the VR room to continue his daily routine. He continued facing low-level ones and used the second half to train. 275 of 800. But the more people Quinn played against, the more traction the original forum post was getting, and all of this was unknown to Quinn. He didn't even know there was an online forum for the game. Quinn had never had any of these things in the past. He had access to the TV and internet, but didn't really know much about games. It was only thanks to Vorden showing him everything he knew what to do. Another day had passed, and Quinn repeated the process. 440 of 800. Not only was Quinn quickly gaining EXP, but he also felt like he was getting a hang of his abilities more. He knew when the time was right to use Flash Step, and also learned how to combine his 2 skills, so he would be able to disappear and reappear while using Hammer Strike. In 2 days, Quinn felt like he would be ready. Inside the second year's office, a group of first years had been called into the General Duke's office. Standing at the front of the first years was Earl, the same boy who had recently been hanging around with Peter, as well as the one who had broken his fingers. "I've made sure that the room will be empty for you tomorrow. Make sure you do as I asked. I need you to get rid of them," Duke said. "Yes, sir, we promise." "Good," Duke replied as he threw over a couple of beast crystals as well as a skill book. "You should be able to progress to level 4 with that skill. Carry on working hard and there will be more." The next day after combat classes had ended, Peter had messaged for Vorden and Quinn to come to the training room on the east side. This room was usually off-limits to students, since it was also used as a room to store portals. But after reading the contents of the message, both Quinn and Vorden had rushed over. The message simply said that Peter needed their help. While heading over to the room, Vorden and Quinn had bumped into each other. "Did you get Peter's message?" Quinn asked. "Yeah, that's why I'm here. I knew those friends of his were bad news," Vorden said. "Quinn, you stay behind. I can deal with this myself." "No way. He's my friend, too. I'm going to kick those guys' asses if it's the last thing I do." Vorden could see he was unable to convince Quinn, so the two of them continued together and had finally arrived inside the training center. The room was large, and there were several large metallic objects with an oval shape in the middle. Each one of them had a glowing circle in the middle, shining with a different color. These were the portals that took them to another world. There were 9 machines out in total, 3 of each color, and for a moment it felt like they were unable to take their eyes off the things. When they had entered the room, they could see that Peter was lying on the ground, badly hurt. He laid on the ground just in front of one of the teleporters, and it looked like he couldn't move. Quinn and Vorden looked around the room, but were unable to notice anyone. They both then rushed over to his side. He had bruise marks all over him, and he scuffed up pretty bad with scratches all over. "What happened to you? Was it those first-year students?" Vorden shouted. "Yeah, they got me pretty bad. They went out for just a moment. I don't think they're going to come back." "All right, let us pick you up," Vorden said, as he lifted Peter's hand over his shoulder. As the two of them picked up Peter, Quinn had a strange feeling. As he looked at Peter closer, he noticed that even though his clothes were badly torn, he didn't look to be in such bad a shape that he shouldn't have been able to walk. Even the bruises didn't look normal, almost as if they were drawn on. "Inspect. Peter Chuck, HP 8 of 8. Vorden, let go of him. It's a trap," Quinn shouted. But before Vorden could even realize what was happening, Peter had broken free and immediately pushed Quinn as hard as he could. The push wasn't strong, and it didn't hurt Quinn, but it didn't need to be, because that wasn't Peter's aim. That one little push had managed to push Quinn just far enough back to the point where he had entered the portal. "What have you done?" Vorden shouted. The color of the portal was red.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.